welcome back to the vlog, and we are once again heading to Geek Retreat for this week's locals. Now, we are still building Mathmech, so any of you who wanted to see that deck this week, unfortunately it has been put off for another week at least. The reason why that is because every time we go to build that deck, we always seem to find we're missing yet another card. So as such, it is a case now, we ordered the cards, so now it's just waiting. So this week we are once again normal summoning Alistair. But last week the deck was built, it was changed to the iteration it currently is, so I don't feel any need to change the deck how it currently stands. I feel it's strong, I feel it's durable, and I'm certainly getting more comfortable with how it plays and the lines to play. So yesterday we went to Geek Retreat, we played Vocals, and this is how it played. So our first match was up against the man himself, Matt. He was trying out his new Live Twin Fiendsmith deck. In game one, he set up his board. It looked like this. Hopefully there's a picture inserted of how it looks. And I couldn't really do much. Game two, I set up my board, which looked like this. And it was enough to stop him. Not fully, he was able to play through the majority of it, but it left him on very limited resources for me to take the game. And round three could only be described as misplay. It seemed like we actively tried to lose the game, both of us. Although very funny, it is something we need to be more aware of when we go to higher events. And with that being said though, I did eventually take the game, mainly because Matt made one misplay more than I did, and it certainly cost him the game. That misplay being, I attacked his face down monster with Fenrir. That face down monster was Fiendsmith Engraver. Both have 24 attack on Fenrir and 24 defense on Engraver. Neither of us really picked up on that, and Engraver went to grave, which it shouldn't have, which then actually left Matt one body less on the board when it rolled around to his turn, so he was unable to do his links and play off from there. However, he certainly could have done a lot more, but he did misplay on his opening turn. I misplayed on my opening turn, and yeah, it certainly was funny. We had Adam and Owen just watching because they'd already finished their game, and both of them just the look of disbelief in their face with the amount of fuck-ups, really. But it was still funny, and I actually love that gameplay. The reason why I'm not showing that here is because I've got to save something for TikTok, and I feel out of all the games, that is the one that deserves the bigger platform that I have. So, Matt, I hope you don't mind me putting our misplays out on TikTok, and of course I will tag Matt on both channels, so go check him out. He is a much more accomplished Yu-Gi-Oh player than I am. He is helping me get better at the game, and honestly I cannot say anything negative. I love the support I get from the more serious competitive players that we have, and Matt especially, along with Adam, have taken time out of their weeks and days to really help me get better at this game. And so thank you guys, and yeah, we move in to round two. Now, we certainly had luck on our side as proven in round one, so I really wanted to keep that luck rolling with round two because I was up against Aaron on his Raziel deck. Raziel, however you pronounce it, Raziel, let's go with that. And so I wanted to hit him hard and I wanted to hit him fast. Now, Aaron wins the dice roll and he starts his turn with Bonfire. Admittedly, that's a searcher. I thought it was one that's special summon, that's on me. So I chained the Mulchami Fluffalos, or however that's pronounced. And luckily that goes through. I did have a second one in hand, but it didn't register in my brain of, oh, activate both and double your draws. I don't know why. That's again something I need to get more familiar with. So that's 100% on me. I could have been doubling the amount of draws I was getting because although I did already have an imperm in hand, just being able to draw into hopefully more hand traps, or at least more ways to then play through his board on my turn would have been better, rather than keeping the one card to discard for Dear Bellstar if we had the Dear Bellstar at our turn. But we did already have the imperm, so I felt pretty confident I could at least slow him down, and hopefully we could then capitalise that on our turn. Now, Aaron does allow us to get a few draws off and get into his duo drive, which we do imperm, because we do not want to see that field spell hit in the field, because that is what gives him the negates. Aaron does continue. Unfortunately for me, he continues, but fortunately for me, without the field spell. He does, however, though, get his detonator, sets 2 and passes there. But given the amount of draws we have also drawn into our Triple Tactics talent, which is now live as well, because Aaron does draw and not burn us on one of our searches. So we activate talents to take. The idea is to take the detonator. He then chains the detonator, blowing itself up or targeting itself, and then chains one of his face down cards, being Forbidden Droplet, giving up the duo drive to negate our Fenrir that we had already summoned. So Aaron cleared his own field, meaning Triple Tactics just fizzled out. Absolutely fine. And then his Eclipse Twin triggers, bringing back the detonator. Okay, that's fine. But we end our turn with Kashtira Unicorn and the SP Little Knight on the field, and we have cleared the detonator. So we feel we are in quite a strong position, and we do end up taking game 1. The SP Banish, along with the threat of the Unicorn Rip, which I did use to shut down the Fiendsmith package of his deck, certainly gave us that game. Moving into game 2, Aaron starts off with normal summon Lacrima, which really did catch me off guard. I wasn't expecting the normal summon of the Fiendsmith. I was expecting some form of Rizal combo. However, we did then Ash Blossom his Requiem to stop his Fiendsmith line. However, he did have Triple Tactics in his hand, which put his life. I showed him my hand, and he shuffled back in my Kashtira Unicorn from my hand. So from there, though, excuse me, I'm able to make some plays, but thanks to the Forbidden Droplet, we don't get far into our push, but I am able to set up our Fiendsmith pieces and hope that the negate is enough. On Aaron's turn, he does manage to go the full Fiendsmith combo. I tried to negate a sequence, which is met with a Ghost Ogre. Now, that is something I really was not expecting, and because the Ghost Ogre obviously allows the effect to go through, but sends it to grave, the Desiree no longer has any link material equipped to it, so therefore his negate fizzles out, allowing Aaron's sequence to go through, and Aaron then is able to go full Fiendsmith combo, and I can't pull back from there. So here we go into the all-important game 3, and here is the footage for game 3. Honestly, with this hand, I felt very confident, and we didn't disappoint. You will see here, though, I did make a misplay. I Solemn Striked the Typhon, and that comes out, as you'll see in a moment, on the summon, rather than when he attempted to activate the effect. And the reason why that is a misplay is because if I did it on the effect rather than the summon, then the lock would have still applied, which is always nice. But with that in mind, enjoy the rest of this footage. So we move into the break with a 2-0 record, which is something I have not done in quite a long time. However, I'm not ignorant enough to believe that this is all skill, because I'm fully aware luck has played a massive part of my wins today. The fact that I've been able to, the fact that Matt misplayed, the fact that neither of us picked up on the Fiendsmith going to grave when it shouldn't have, and just the fact of how cracked my game 3 hand was against Aaron. Luck is really pushing me through today, and I'm hoping to keep riding that lucky streak into game 3, where we are paired up against Owen. Now, Owen is somebody I've known for quite a few years now. He has took a massive break from the game. We did play him last week on his Medolce deck, which was one of the decks he was playing when I last played him. So I'm really excited to see he is on his Blue Eyes Primite deck this week, and it's not a deck I get too many chances to play. I have played it once or twice when we've been paired against Sam, but getting some more experience in against this deck is definitely something I always will welcome, because this is a deck that will be around for the long haul. So game 1 was very back and forth until it wasn't, and Owen managed to pull off the Crimson Dragon package and really put that massive amount of pressure onto us, which just took in the game. I wasn't able to pull that back. Game 2, what can we say about game 2? We opened absolutely cracked it once again. Owen could have played through the board. He was making some real big headway, but then he also misplayed and activated his Lordy Load in the Imperm column, therefore negating the effects and ending his push there and then. And as such, the writing was on the wall, and Owen, in order to save time, scooped it up and put us into game 3. Now, going into game 3, where he was going first, I did not feel too confident. However, like I said, I'm relying on luck a bit, and take a look at game 3 and let's see if that luck has continued. Okay, so Owen goes first, and we have one form of interruption, which is the effect railer. Owen starts with the normal summon of the bell, which we do use. We don't want that drill beam into rotation, as we do have the lightning storm, and the idea is we could hopefully lightning storm his back row, destroying his true light. However, Owen does have that Lord Load, which is still able to search in the drill beam. He then links off that bell dragon into the Blue Eyes Spirit, and he has the Blue Eyes combo here. Or so we thought. However, interestingly enough, you'll see what happens here. So he searches the field spell and then triggers the field spell, ditching the Blue Eyes, and then tributes the Spirit to summon the Blue Eyes, and then uses the Lordy Load in order to special summon a normal monster from hand, grave, or deck. In this case, the Blue Eyes from hand. And to begin with, I was a little confused because I wasn't aware Lordy Load special summons, so we was able to get that cleared up, which is absolutely fine, and Owen specs the other Blue Eyes. It did look like he was debating linking them off into spheres, but he decides to just set his 2 cards and pass, one of which we know is Drill Beam, but the other 2 are unknowns. So we do activate that Lightning Storm and call the back row, which does get that Drill Beam out of the way. So I'm assuming at least one of the other cards is an Imperm. We ditch the Engraver, and that does get the Dominus to stop us from searching. And okay, we can carry on. We ditch a card in order to spec Witch is met with an Imperm, but we already did have the Deception. So we activate the Deception, giving up the Witch to search for the Hallowed Azmina, and we go into the Musalago. Now, this is where I've had to do a little bit of big brain thinking here, because the plan isn't Musalago as such, it's to get a draw off Wanted by putting Deception back on the bottom of the deck. So we go ahead, we activate the Wanted to add the Witch back from the grave, and then we go ahead and put our plan into motion. Otherwise we are just passing on this Moose Lager and saying decent draw. And we do draw the Fenrir, which is good. So we activate the Hallowed Azamina, shuffling back the Moose Lager from the field, just so our fifth side is clear to go ahead and spec the Fenrir. We then use Fenrir's effect to search for the Unicorn. And again, I have to give up some life points here just to make a board. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to move into the battle phase, swing my Fenrir into the attack position, Blue Eyes, and declare Fenrir effect, getting rid of the Lordy Low, just so that he doesn't have that recursion. The Fenrir then crashes into the Blue Eyes, inflicting 600 points of damage. Then in main phase 2, we go ahead, we spec the Unicorn, search the Cashdale buff, activate the buff to bring back the Fenrir from the grave. And then I did debate passing on them, but the Blue Eyes could just beat over them. So I decided to put them both into Moon, Moon into Requiem. Requiem tributes itself in order to get us the Lacrima, and then the Lacrima effect to Foolish the second Engraver from our deck. And then we can go ahead and activate the Engraver effect, shuffling back the Moon to bring itself back. We then link both off into the sequence, and then use Sequence's effect to fuse back. And one Engraver, one Lacrima, and one Tract. We then link them off into the Agmundi and trigger the Desiree to shuffle back our Engraver, to then send his attack position Blue Eyes to the grave, because this is main phase 2. And now we have a 5,800 attack position Desiree, where I can negate up to 5 cards on the field once. So he obviously gets his barrel back, he attempts to activate the barrel. Desiree negate. We didn't negate that, I can't remember if we negate that until that was true. I think we did negate that along with the field spell, just so then he can't foolish things and get the additional normal summon. So again, we are really doing it in time. He does decide here to put them both into the seals, which isn't bad because seals doesn't target, so it's actually one of the best cards to get rid of Desiree, because it doesn't target and it turns it, it doesn't even get. So I go ahead, I attempt to activate Birth. Initially it was fine, but then he asked if he could change Birth, not an issue. So he changed to Birth using the seals. I then spec the Fenrir. I then give it the lightning storm, Witch, and Witch. And because when we got the Jet Dragon with 0 defense because it was seals, but we go ahead and activate the Amina, giving up the section, going straight to the attack this time. Fenrir attacks, and because it's on attack declaration, it doesn't give his Jet Dragon the chance, so therefore we declare it, then we swing the Witch, and then we swing the Amina. These are in 200 points. I did consider linking off the Amina and the Witch, but then I thought about it, and it's going into Rabbit and getting the trap. I just felt was weaker than the game. So here I will now go to the normal uses the effect. Fine, I then use the Fenrir to punish the Bow Dragon effects down, and that's why I let the effect go through, just because at the end of the day I wanted to get rid of that. Wanted to stop that recursion of it coming back during each standby phase, so there it goes. So it also then as well takes that dragon off the field, so Owen couldn't link it off or go any further, so he scoops here. So there we have it. We are currently undefeated moving into the last round, and our last round we got paired against our fellow MPEC guy, our brother in Christ, Wally, and honestly, what a way to end the day. Wally on his RDA Centurion is nothing to take lightly, and this guy is really a threat, especially when he gets locked in, and I can't wait to play him. I'm currently 3-0, he's 2 wins, 1 draw, so we are essentially playing for first place now. Now, round 1, he won the dice roll, and my luck ran out. take a look at this opening hand. Hopefully, again, the picture's here. And yeah, he plays around the single effect railer. I sequence my hand so incredibly wrong as well. However, as we were siding and shuffling, Wally did explain to me, even if I sequenced the hand absolutely right, he hadn't not just one or two, but he actually had 3 answers. So even if I was able to dodge the first interruption, which I wouldn't, and then dodge the second interruption, which again I couldn't, the third one definitely was going to get us. So either way, the fact that I fucked up is kind of irrelevant because it's the same result, but it's still handy to pick up when you fuck up so you can try and fix it moving forward. That being said, we're moving into round 2, and a little spoiler here, I'm going to show you the gameplay of game 2 because there isn't a game 3, but this game, in all honesty, took us about 20 minutes-ish. Looking back at the footage, it doesn't look as epic as it felt. When me and Wally were both playing that game, we were even chatting last night, it felt like more like we were playing chess than Yu-Gi-Oh! We were sacrificing pieces, we were giving advantage in order to then take it on our next turn or on our opponent's turn. Especially Wally more so than me. He definitely had me on the back foot for the majority of this game, and every time I was able to take a square back or take a pawn, he had a bishop or a rook waiting to put me back into check. It really did feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! To me. This is how that feeling of the back and forth, the epicness, the trying to outthink and outsmart each other is really, really what I've been missing recently. And my God, it felt so good. And I absolutely loved this game, even though I lost it. But please, watch it anyway, because hopefully you'll see what I'm explaining here. But with that in mind, here is round 2. Okay, so I'll start us off here. We go ahead, we draw our 5 cards. I'll start us off by using Fenrir and activate Fenrir's effect to search. Wally did think for a second, so then when he did let it through, I decided to chain Wanted here in case he did have an Ash or the Droll, just trying to bait out anything he got and to try and play around the Droll a little bit more. So we do add the Witch and we add the Unicorn. We give up the Fenrir to summon the Witch and attempt to use the Witch effect, which is met with the Imperm, which really hurts because we do need to clear the field for the Unicorn. However, we do then activate the Magical Meltdown, searching Alistair, which is normal summon to search the Invocation. All the searches go through fine, and initially I do go to misplay here. I go to link them both off into Moon straight away. However, because I haven't put Link Monster on the field yet, so Wally doesn't know what I'm doing, he does allow me to just to roll that back slightly, just so I can link the Alistair off first and then put them both into Moon from there. This, however, is summon 5, so Wally nibs me here before Negate comes out, which is fantastic because it does essentially stop my Fiendsmith line. So here now we just activate the Invocation, we banish the Light and the Alistair, and then activate the Invocation to get Alistair back in hand. Now, I do have a Bishop in hand. Initially, this was sided in to be kind of more of a hand trap for Wally. However, I did think that maybe the Druid's Worm could be a form of interruption instead, which, looking back honestly, is more of a misplay. I do feel having it in hand to banish one of his monsters and then having it on field as some form of interruption would have been better, especially with how RDA plays around things like the Crimson Gaia to spec things back when things are destroyed. Having that graveyard removal is kind of needed, to be honest, and yeah, so that was a misplay. But he went to activate the Bone Archery to be Mecha Bed negated by discarding the Unicorn, because at this point, I don't have a clear field, so the Unicorn, so we discard that to negate that. Here, Wally then activates Terraforming, search the Centurion card, ditches a card to then set a Centurion in the spell trap as a continuous trap and sets that True Daya. And of course the card he discarded is one of those resonators that when it's sent to the grave allows him to search for a card that mentions RDA. So he does go ahead and search for the Crimson Gaia. Now I'm not going to lie, we did kind of expect his turn to stop here, but it doesn't. So because the Crimson Gaia is here, and Wally hasn't actually normal summoned yet, so he activates the Crimson Gaia to go get his Soul Resonator, and then normal summons the Soul Resonator, which allows him to search for a Fiend monster. So there's the normal summon, and he searches. Now this card that I do not know, unfortunately, but it is the level 3 fire thing that can special summon if you control a Fiend Tuner, and will burn you for 400 damage for each fire monster your opponent controls. So because he controls 2, I lose 800 life points there, and he puts them both into the Red Rising Dragon. He then goes ahead and chain 1 Red Rising Dragon and chain 2. Oh no, sorry, there is no chain 2 yet. So he uses Red Rising to bring back Soul. And he's just having a little look through the grave to see what it is he wants to do from here. So he does have another copy of that little thing, which he can spec because he has a level 6 or higher dragon, which then goes into another copy of Red Rising, and then puts Red Rising and the Centurion into the... Oh, sorry, he puts it in Scar Red, not Red Rising, I do apologise. Goes into that, and then he, because it was gone into a Dark Dragon, it allows him to spec RDA and then pop all attack position monsters I control. Now, this is where I was saying about having the Bestial in hand at this point would have still been better, because he has that Scar Red, which does also mention RDA, so when a card is destroyed, now, thanks to Crimson Gaia, he can spec it back. So, just by having that Bestial in hand still could be good here, because he attacks, on the attack deck, everything gets flipped face down, and then destroys. So my Bestial gets destroyed, yeah, fine, I get to send something to the grave, but because of Crimson Gaia, he gets to spec back. So it's chain 1 is Crimson Gaia, chain 2 my Bestial, so I get rid of that monster, but then the Scar Red's here. So if you think about it this way, when he attacked into the token, that's when the token would have been destroyed for the Crimson Gaia, so that's when I could have Bestialed and got rid of the Scar Red to stop that coming back, and then he would have had to have punched the Bestial with Nibiru, which would have got rid of the Red Dragon Archfiend, and then at best he would be poking me for 500, but he doesn't actually attack with Soul, he lets that get destroyed through the RDA effect, so he's not left with a 500 attack position monster on the field. I go ahead here, I normal summon Alistair, and activate the effect to search for the invocation. We activate the invocation, I banish his Soul just to dance around that destruction protection to go into the Purgatrio. We then activate the invocation yet again, shuffling it back into the deck to add Alistair back to hand, and now my monster gains 1000 attack because my opponent controls 5 cards, and it can attack every monster once. And we did have a slight ruling question here, and the ruling question was basically, if I destroy the RDA first, and then he brings it back with Crimson Gaia, can I attack again? And the answer is, of course, yes, because it counts as a separate monster. Purgatrio's effect only works if the monster remains on the field. I cannot attack it again. So he chooses not to activate the Crimson Gaia instead, just to allow it to die, and because I discarded the Alistair, I am able to get a nice chunk of damage and clear Wally's board. However, we then set our Angel statue on the field as well, just to try and activate it during his turn, which we do here, just to try and stop a Synchro Summon or some form of Inherit Summon from going through. However, Wally is going into the thinking phase here and tries to cook something up to get around the statue, and he certainly does that. He summons Soul and then specs out the Bone Archfiend, which you'll see here in just a moment. Here we go, because he can use his Gaia, which he uses here, to search for a copy of Soul. And it's just never a top deck situation while Crimson Gaia's on the field. And, you know, like I said, that Bestial play mishaps, I don't think would have changed anything too drastically, but it at least would have left me in a better situation, because at the minute I'm on 1200 life points. But yeah, so he summons Soul. Soul then brings back the summons, searches for the Bone Archfiend. He specs the Bone Archfiend by discarding of the Fluffalos. And then from here as well, now Wally can give up a Centurion card to spec the Centurion Gargoyle in hand, so he gives up the field spell to get the Gargoyle. Because none of these are inherit summons, the statue cannot stop it. So he just punches the statue with the Gargoyle, clearing the only form of interruption realistically, but then he goes ahead and punches the Purgatrio with the Bone Archfiend, which allows the RDA to come back. The RDA swings, and obviously Crimson Gaia Brookamoons it, and just to clear it so it's no longer a threat. And then Wally, of course, decides to move to main phase 2, choosing not to punch me with the 500, just so the soul gets destroyed. And again, we are in that top deck situation. We do top deck the Unicorn, which is a fantastic top deck. However, we are in a very difficult choice here. We activate Birth. Birth then brings back the Fenrir, but we no longer have access to Moon. Moon is in the grave, or technically banished at this point. And I'm trying to work out, because Fenrir can swing, and if I banish the Crimson Gaia, it stops the recursion. And therefore then I can swing into the Gargoyle, get some more damage off, get rid of the Crimson Gaia, and then it's just a case of his RDA will kill one or the other, plus whatever he top decks. Or I can swing, banish the RDA face down, and choose not to carry on with the attack, therefore not triggering the Crimson Gaia on my turn, and try and buy myself a little bit of time. And that's what I go with. But honestly, I think getting rid of the Crimson Gaia would have been the better play, because the RDA wouldn't have been able to have cleared by fields. It would have stopped the recursion, or at least the searching with the Crimson Gaia. Because here now, it's Wally's turn. Wally is top decked. He's having a think about what he wants to do here. So you think, if I did it the other way around, the Gargoyle would be gone, Crimson Gaia would be gone. The only thing he'd have left is RDA on the field. So here Wally has the level 2 Resonator, which he specs. Then he synchros off into Bestial Dispatter. He punches Fenrir with the Dispatter, leaving me on 100 life points. However, because a monster's been destroyed, the Crimson Gaia triggers, bringing back that Scar Red. So yes, he would have still got to the Bestial Dispatter. However, without the recursion.
There we go. We ended the day 3-1. I honestly could not be happier. Now, luck, like I've said multiple times in this video, has played a massive part of the wins today. But also, you know, just the fact that I've been able to play the way I've played, even with the cracked hands, being able to pick up on the misplays I've done, or not necessarily even the misplays, but the things I should have sequenced differently or done differently, is really showing me that I am slowly growing as a player. And honestly, again, I cannot thank the guys at Locals enough for putting their time and energy into that and helping me grow as a player. So again, thank you guys. I really love and appreciate all of you, and I cannot wait until I'm able to play against some of you who I haven't played in a while. Joe, I'm looking at you. Adam, I'm looking at you. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting to pick up wins against you boys, but I cannot wait until I'm able to play against you guys. It's been too long since I've been paired against either of you, and yeah, I cannot wait. But with all that in mind, we took second place, and it's a really good feeling, especially when hopefully next week I will be on a different deck. So that's a really nice sort of a full stop for this deck and this build at this time. I'm not saying I'm never coming back to it, because I really love the Invade package, and like I said, Cashtira Unicorn puts in some work this format. So I'll definitely be looking at these engines again, just maybe not in this particular build. But with that being said, until next time, peace and love.